Well, let's bring it back to the studio. We have with us Dr. Einat Wilf. She is a former member of the Israeli parliament for the Labour Party, and Jeremy Saltan, a political strategist and advisor. Einat, I want to start with you because you've been involved in previous governments. I won't go into the circumstances where it came down to the wire. Parties split, new alliances formed. What do your political instincts tell you about what's going to happen in the next few hours?
I must say that my political instincts fail me here because this is unprecedented. In 70 years of continuous Israeli parliamentary democracy, we never had a situation like tonight. We did have a situation where prime minister candidates were unable to form a coalition and had to go back to the president. And in the past, the president worked and basically cobbled together, helped the members of parliament to cobble together what's called a grand coalition or a unity government. But there was never a situation where the person who was the prime minister candidate and got the mandate, rather than admit failure, said that he will take the country to new elections. These are not repeat elections. These are not snap elections. These are entirely new elections. 1 month, as he said, after the Knesset was just sworn in. This has never happened. It's possible to admit failure, but Netanyahu refuses to do that. And the problem is, or the reason for everything that we're saying, is not Lieberman. Lieberman is taking advantage of a situation very skillfully. But the situation is first and foremost that Netanyahu wants everything. If he only wanted to be prime minister, ironically, if that's everything he wanted, he would have had a government a long time ago. Blue and white might have gone with him. Labour might have gone with him. He would have had a government. But he doesn't want to just be prime minister anymore. He wants to ensure that he is not indicted, that he doesn't go through the judicial process. And this is basically undermining Israel's entire system. And what we're watching right now, at this moment, is that the system of Israel, the political system, is essentially rebelling against Netanyahu's effort to kill it.
Jeremy, what's your take? Because as Einat lays out, there is a reality here. The Likud is laying it out as if there are only two options. Either we form a government or we go to new elections. But there is a third option in Israeli law for the president to give somebody else a chance.
For sure. I mean, there's also the fourth option of Netanyahu giving up. But we all know that's not going to happen. I agree with Einat here. This is something that's never happened. I've been working within the corridors of the Knesset for over a decade. I do not remember a night quite like this. I think back to 4 years ago, where it was about 4 hours before the deadline, where Netanyahu made that final deal with Bennett, where he made Shaked justice minister. But in that situation, he had signed coalition agreements with all of the other coalition partners. Here, he has 0 coalition agreements signed. We've never been here before.
He claims there are 60 at this point. The Likud says they have 60 lawmakers.
So he does say he has 60. He has drafted up coalition deals, but there are no signatures on those coalition deals for good reason. If I'm the Haredi parties, I'm looking at those coalition deals, and I'm worried what's going to be in the Israel Beitenu one. So I'm not going to want to sign mine until I see what ends up being in Lieberman's. And as we get closer to midnight, right, we're less than 3 hours left, that window is really starting to close. Yet I do think because Netanyahu is the magician, he'll find some way to be able to get out of this. My prediction is that he just calls up Rivlin about a minute or two before midnight and says, I have a government. And he's going to have absolutely no proof to actually back that up, but Rivlin is going to be forced to actually decide what he's going to do with that.
Love him or hate him, Netanyahu